Hello, I'm reviewing all of the first 5 Home Alone movies. Home Alone 1 to Home Alone 5, titled Home Alone The Holiday Heist. Released back in 2012, I think, when the 5th one came out. And the first one came out in 1990, I think. If I got that year right, I'll put the right year in the video's title. When I title the video, I'll put the right year in the title. Okay? I give all 5 Home Alone movies an 8 out of 10. Now, all of the 5 Home Alone movies, the plot is not the best nor the most important part of the movie. Of the Home Alone franchise, all 5 of them. The plot is just window dressing for shits and giggles of villains falling into traps that would kill a normal person in real life. But in the movie, it doesn't kill them all. It just leaves them really bad boo-boos. But leaves them unharmed. So it's kind of like Saturday morning cartoon Looney Tunes violence of a movie. When it comes to the gags. The clever gags in all of these movies. That's the real best part of the meat of the Home Alone franchise. The gags and the villains falling into traps and duping themselves, and us, the audience, getting giggle out of them. That was always the meat and bare bones of the best part of all the meat bare bones of the Home Alone franchise to me. What made it special were the pranks that the main character pulled on the villains, and the shits and giggles that the villains think that they have the upper hand, but really it's the other way around. The kid has the upper hand in reality. Because they keep on falling into trap after trap. And keep on getting smarted by the kid. It's a funny little kid empowerment fantasy ride of the Home Alone movies are. They're fun, guilty pleasures. I wish the stories were better for all of them, or I wish any of them put me in the Christmas spirit. But I can't say neither of them put me in the Christmas spirit, or neither can I say the plot really is the highlight of the movies, which that would be a lie. It's really just the giggles that are the highlight of the movies, the shits and giggles scenes, with the villains falling into death traps, that would be death traps in real life, but really they're just booby traps in the movie. But if they happen in real life, they would definitely kill probably a person really bad and make them die of horrible death. Like, I'm pretty sure lighting somebody's head on fire could technically kill them if they're bald. Or leave them with, and if they do survive, they're probably praying for death. If they do survive that. Because I doubt that in real life, if you lit someone's head on fire, they will walk away just annoyed and not at all screaming in agony, praying for death. Because in Home Alone 1, the first one, Kevin lit somebody's head on fire, and he just walks away fine after he puts out the fire out. The villain that broke into Kevin's home, played by Macaulay Culkin. The first Home Alone movie, and that happens in the first Home Alone movie. And also, so yeah, I don't think, nothing's that possible to survive that little near-death life experience. It sounds like it's kind of cartoonish how all of them are nearly indestructible. All the villains are nearly just can't die. I mean, it's kind of funny how all the villains are nearly are invisible. Are just not. But the is this what's the word I'm looking for? Indestructible. I think all the villains of the Home Alone movies, all 5 Home Alone movies, tortured the villains. But I think the reason why the first 2 Home Alone movies are the best by most people is because we get to see the most torture in the first 2 ones. But when it gets to Home Alone 3, I noticed they kind of dial it down and back on the torture, was torturing the villains and making them look like Indians. And the traps that Home Alone 3 went for in Home Alone 4 and 5, they weren't just as absurdly dangerous as the first 2 traps that Kevin did in the first 2 Home Alone movies. Keep in mind, this kid thinks he, for some reason, I think Kevin is a little retarded, but at first, because in the first movie, he can't he hasn't packed his bag, and he thinks he made his family disappear instead of just assuming the obvious that his family left without him, and is calling using a phone would be the logical thing to do, to call someone for help, saying his family's left him behind. But instead, he parties like there's no tomorrow. Now his family's gone. Until these 2 burglars come scaring Kevin around the neighborhood and try breaking his house. And so they basically stalk Kevin, his house, until the realize that nobody's really in the house, so they try breaking in, and that's where Kevin sets up a bunch of booby traps earlier in the movie, and they fall into all these painful looking booby trap torture device. I think the reason why the first one's the best out of all the Home Alone movies, why I think the first one's still the best, is because when the villains get hurt, it feels the most painful that I don't know why, but I just feel like and also no, it's not that. It's maybe it's because the traps look the most dangerous in Home Alone 2. In Home Alone 1, the traps looked really dangerous in Home Alone. I don't know which one's better, the Home Alone 1 or 2, okay? I'm not sure I found both of them funny. And both of the gags very funny with the traps, the villains getting duped with the traps, and just walking away finds funny shit. Because it's funny, because no one actually in real life probably kill a normal person with one of these traps that Kevin puts up, or make them pray that they were dead. So that's my review on all 5 Home Alone movies, on why I give them an 8 out of 10 as a fun ride, guilty pleasure of comedy movies they were. Slapstick comedies, some of the best slapstick comedies these movies are. And they really get a kick out of me. They're pee your pants funny. Well, at least the first 2 are. Because the things the villains survive is so absurd, with the death traps, and none of the villains die in the end. Was the first two Home Alone films. It's just impressive that none of these contraptions kill the villains of the film, because it's just kind of funny how they walk away, they just get arrested, and they just or they run away, or this is funny. These movies are Home Alone movies, all 5 of them, and the first 2 are definitely the best and the most funniest. I say the one that came closest to being as good, the ones without Kevin, played by Macaulay Culkin, is Home Alone 3. The third one. The third one came the closest to being as good as the ones with Kevin. In my opinion, that's what I think. And so yeah, Home Alone 3 is the closest. Is another sequel. Another sequel to go with Home Alone 2. Is what I think. The character Kevin returns in Home Alone 4, but he's played by a different kid. Probably because that movie came out in 2002, and Macaulay Culkin, when he was doing Kevin, was acting in the 90s, so it probably makes sense why they had to go with a different kid. But for some reason, the kid doesn't really look a whole lot like Kevin. Maybe this is because they let Kevin be played by a brown hair kid. The kid has brown hair instead of blonde hair, so maybe that's maybe that's why he doesn't. To me, he doesn't look a whole lot like. Maybe that's why as a kid, that's probably why it bothered me, because. But the kid does a good job playing the role of Kevin, though. Even though he's not Macaulay Culkin, he still does a good job playing Kevin. The same Kevin from the first 2 Home Alone movies is played by a different kid in this one. Yes, Kevin returns for Home Alone 4, but not Home Alone 3 or 5. The character, because he's played by a different person. And his parents are split up, and also his other family members have moved out of the house, and now he only has a sister and a brother that's staying in his house besides his divorced mom that's separated from his dad. And Home Alone 5 to me is ironically the weakest out of the Home Alone franchise. Home Alone 4 is honestly the weakest one out of the bunch. Out of the 5 that I talked about. There's 6 of them. I haven't seen Home Alone 6 yet, but I've seen the first 5 Home Alone movies. So out of the 5 Home Alone movies, I think the Home Alone 4, also known as, also known as Home Alone 4, I think it's called Home Alone 4, I think it's called. Home Alone 4 is definitely, for me, definitely the weakest one out of the bunch. Because it's definitely the least funny out of the bunch, and maybe it's just because the I don't know why. I so I'm just realizing I'm getting a little worn out in this video, so I'm gonna try to wrap it up. So yeah, Home Alone 4 is definitely the weakest out of the bunch of the 5 movies I reviewed in the Home Alone saga. And Home Alone 5 has a different kid, a completely different new cast of characters again. Yes, and that one's, the kid is a bit of an addictive gamer, personality, online gaming. And that's part of his quirks, his character traits, I guess, and he, I wish I remembered the character's name, that we follow in Home Alone, the Holiday Heist. I don't remember what the kid's name is. But the Holiday Heist is not as good as the first 3 Home Alone movies, but it's not as a waste of potential as Home Alone 4. At least to me, that's what I thought, because I at least found myself laughing harder. I at least found myself laughing in Home Alone 4 a few times. But in Home Alone 3, the most I did was just chuckle because it was so serious and such a depressing plot. I mean, the whole movie starting out, opening, admitting that the parents of Kevin is no longer living together in one house, and it treats it very seriously. And it's like, okay, but it just takes a while for the Home Alone. It just takes a while for it to start to feel like a good Home Alone movie. It's not a terrible movie. It's just that it takes a while to feel like a Home Alone movie because it's so serious. And Home Alone takes a while for it to start to loosen up. Home Alone 4 is one of those movies that takes a while for starts out serious, but then it takes a while for it to start to tell jokes. And it just takes a while for it to loosen up. And even when it does tell jokes, the most I got was a chuckle, I guess. A short chuckle. But not so really funny to me. That got me laughing really good. I don't hate Home Alone 4. I do like a lot of certain scenes in this movie. Lots of certain scenes. I like lots of stuff I do like in this movie. Like, I do like how Kevin uses the smart house to his advantage, and basically turns this giant smart house into a place of booby traps. And it's cool, I guess. But I kind of miss showing Kevin actually making the traps himself. Like in the first 2 Home Alone films, and even with the third one, it showed the kid making the traps himself, the main protagonist of but in Home Alone 4, he doesn't make the traps himself. He just has his computer do the traps himself, because he has a remote control that can control the house. With the smart house controlled. And to me, that just takes away part of the charm of the Home Alone movies. Like, you're not showing the main protagonist building the traps, which leads to the best part of any Home Alone movie. The main villains duping themselves into torturing themselves with very dangerous traps and surviving. That's some of the best stuff of any Home Alone movie. And yet this didn't have that in the fourth one. Even the fifth one show that the character is capable of making his own traps. Traps. And Home Alone 4 was shown to be made by the main protagonist on screen. The whole montage, every Home Alone movie shows, except for Home Alone 4, shows the kid making traps for the villains of the movie to foil. And yet, but the reason why they don't do it in Home Alone 4 is because he has a smart house. Kevin's living in a smart house at the time with his father because he wants to spend time with his father for Christmas. So, okay, now move. And, so, yeah, Kevin's living in a smart house, so, he has this little remote control to control the smart house instead of building the traps himself in Home Alone 4. So, we don't really get to see Kevin be creative in Home Alone 4 when he returns and makes his final appearance in the Home Alone franchise. But that's a bit of a nitpick. That's a bit of a problem. A big problem I have with the Home Alone 4. But I still like it enough to not hate it. So that's my review on all 5 Home Alone movies. To Home Alone and Home Alone: The Holiday Heist. To Home Alone 1 and to Home Alone: The Holiday Heist. And that's my view on all 5 Home Alone movies, why I give them an 8 out of 10. I recommend them, and they're a good fun time to watch and get a good laugh out of them. So, I enjoy these movies. Hit the thumbs up on my video and my old videos. Hit thumbs up on my old videos when you check them out. I hope you like them. Hit the subscribe button on my channel now. And hit the subscribe by hitting the bell first. And hit the subscribe button second. And that's how you get subscribed. For those who don't know how to subscribe. I didn't know always how to subscribe until I figured it out. I haven't started recording yet. Shit. Okay, bye.